曾经的我心比天高。
Once, I was proud and arrogant, always thinking I had good qualities and looking down on one blind date after another. The other party was either not suitable in this way, or not satisfactory in that way. Who would have thought that in the blink of an eye, I would be 35 years old, and now it's hard just to find someone. Even the relatives and friends who used to help introduce people have gone silent, as if I've been completely labeled as someone hopelessly single. Now, I'm truly starting to panic, truly realizing the cruelty of reality. The things I used to insist on, like house, car, and bride price, have all become unimportant. I'm even willing to take the initiative and make contributions. I can even pay for the 3 gold pieces of jewelry myself. The wedding, banquet, and wedding photos, these formalities can all be omitted. I only wish for a sincere relationship. However, even after I've let go of all conditions, no one is still willing to come close to me. Do I really have to return to a traditional family role, learn to cook, and take care of household chores in order to be accepted?
No shit.
Yes, ma'am, most definitely. And that's the thing. Like, this westernized mentality has its way over in China. And you have a lot of women that are Xing News and wedding cakes and leftover women. This is where we get that term from, that are starting to regret it. And that's the thing. They, just like the women here in the West, don't know what is required. And she's asking, do I have to go back to a traditional like wife school or something and learn how to cook, clean, be nurturing, be feminine? A lot of women need wife school. And these Chinese women, like this one in particular, are no exception to that. It's just crazy seeing this mindset. And that question is like, wow, the same one that these women ask in the West. It's just mind boggling to see it happen over there.
But today, when I just started learning to cook, I accidentally cut my hand, and the pain brought tears to my eyes. If I had known things would end up like this, maybe I wouldn't have been so picky back then. If I can still meet someone in the future who doesn't mind my age and is willing to live a down-to-earth life with me, I will definitely cherish him and live out the rest of my life peacefully with him.
I mean, you get an E for effort because literally, you don't have to cut your hand. Some guys or whoever, you could possibly end up with is probably going to have to be a younger guy. Just order Chinese Uber Eats. He doesn't care. As long as you're smashing him and doing all the things that you said that you'll do. It's fascinating that she's willing to make this concession other than, how modern women look at it and be like sticking out their chest, and saying, I'm not doing anything. I'm not settling. I will die alone. But it always comes when it's too late.
我现在其实一直都不能接受的一个事实是
Actually, up until now, there has always been a reality that I find hard to accept. And that is, I am no longer young, because being 38 years old is indeed no longer a small age. But somehow, I still seem to be immersed in a dream, never fully waking up. I always feel like I'm still the same as I was at 18, full of fantasies about life, and still holding naive and romantic expectations about love. Every day, I still find myself overthinking, indulging in the imagination of falling in love. Moreover, I'm becoming more and more clearly aware of a certain reality. Those excellent men and women with good conditions, most of them have already completed their life answer sheet before the age of 30 and have entered the path of marriage early on. Now looking back, it seems that once you pass 30, whether you're a man or a woman, if you're still unmarried, there's always more or less some kind of problem. The problem with leftover women is mostly because they were too picky when they were younger. High standards, many requirements, disliked this one, found that one unsuitable, always wanting this and that, hoping for someone with good financial conditions, a matching personality, and good looks as well. In the end, they gradually left themselves behind.
So when did Chinese parents stop doing the arrangement for their children to get married? Didn't they conjoin and bring together two families and say, hey, I have a son and hey, I have a daughter? It would be great, if they were to be the match. When did women that were Chinese in these, in this in the CCP, how long ago was it when they started making their own decisions and straying away from these customs, these traditional customs? That's my question. In a lot of these Asian countries that have become possibly liberal, more left-leaning, and being able to, extend a little bit of that olive branch in the West, the way that they do things here, women pick their own men, and just adopting that idea and just changing for the worse. So these women are pretty much the same type of women They're just Chinese and they live east of the women here in the West that are struggling, that have the same gripes.
Of course, there are also quite a few men in their 30s who are still unmarried. So the question is, how did these so-called leftover men end up being left behind? How is their situation different from ours?
I'm kind of weirded out that she's asking this question, but I'm glad you asked, being that you're Chinese. Men are the ones who do the picking for marriages. Men pick who gets relationships. So them being 30, what do they look at? What is it? Golden Bachelor. She should know that she's a Xing Nu. She's a leftover woman. She should know the opposite term for men that are 30. Diamond Bachelor. That's what it is. They're Diamond Bachelors because women have a biological clock that needs to be fulfilled. But for men, we don't have a biological clock and we can actually, stay fertile well into our 60s. Case in point, 83-year-old Al Pacino is just about to expect a new child coming into the earth. He's 83 years old. Show me an 83-year-old woman that had a child. I'll wait. Doesn't exist.
我90年，今年34岁，还不到35岁。
I was born in 1990, and I'm 34 years old this year. I haven't turned 35 yet. I've been staying at home for almost a year now, and during this time, almost no one has tried to introduce me to anyone anymore. Strangely enough, perhaps because of this, I've actually become less anxious than before. I often see many people, especially some female friends, constantly saying things like, "Oh no, am I going to end up alone? Well, I guess this is just how it is for me. Does this mean I'll have to spend the rest of my life alone? I'm still single at this age. I'll probably never get married in this lifetime. Honestly, I really don't like hearing these kinds of things. After hearing them too many times, all I can feel is a flood of anxiety. I often wonder, why do we have to put so much pressure on ourselves in this way? Is it really worth it?"
Yes. Yes.
Brothers and sisters, what I want to say is, no matter how old we are, we should never give up our hope and longing for life so easily. Take me for example, I'm 34 this year, and honestly, the only person who was introduced to me this year ended up rejecting me instead.
Cooked.
But even so, I still feel like it's not a big deal. It's true that we've reached an age that is often referred to as the right age for marriage. We have to admit that, right? But you can't, on one hand, admit that you've reached a certain age, and on the other hand, still believe that you have great qualities and can't understand why no one is choosing you. Actually, the answer is very simple. It's just because we've reached this age, that's all. It's perfectly normal. So what I think is, instead of falling into this cycle of anxiety, it's better to accept reality with calmness and just go with the flow in life.
Yeah, women like this will say that in confidence, but go home late at night and cry about it. And if she's not crying now, wait till she's 35. Wait till she's 36, 37. Wait till she gets close to knocking on 40's door. Then the waterworks are just going to be exploding like the 4th of July.
I am an ordinary woman from Guangzhou, Jiangxi Province, born in 1989. This year, I'm already 36 years old.
Rejected.
Belonging to the year of the snake. Up to now, I am still single and unmarried. What many people would call a leftover woman or a leftover lady of advanced age. In today's society, situations like mine have actually become increasingly common. More and more men and women are staying unmarried at an older age, and social pressure is becoming heavier as a result. Actually, for a very long period of time, I've been someone who sticks firmly to my own values and stands strong in my independence. Faced with the external pressure of people pushing me to get married, I've always been clear about what I truly want in my heart. I often tell others, only when I truly meet someone who makes my heart beat, someone I'm willing to spend my life with, will I choose to enter into marriage.
That's stupid. Use your common sense.
You see, that's the problem. The woman in the second clip mentioned this too. These women having these fantasies and thinking about it every single day about some guy falling into their lap and this, this happening for them out of nowhere. And I think this woman that's 36 years old still believes that she has the same pull and leverage that she had when she was 26. So most likely she's not going to settle. You don't have time for the butterflies. You need to learn how to love a man. You know how women say that? I can learn to love him. You need to learn to love a man because you need a man for your survival. But just like the last woman, this one is definitely hard-headed. But there's so many dudes out there that would actually take this woman in, bro. Being 36. If she was in the United States, she just got fresh out here, she'd either be getting passed around like a joint at the Snoop Dogg concert or if she was being serious and a guy wanted to be serious with her, she could literally get locked down. A lot of guys would take these types of women, and we don't even know. She might be able to cook, clean well, and shut up and give you peace and not be a 304. But we'll never know because of their attitude.
If marriage is only about completing some so-called life task, then I would rather live alone. I've always believed that marriage shouldn't be just about getting by in life. It shouldn't be merely a compromise to reality or a social arrangement. It should be because you've met someone you love, and you're willing to face life's ups and downs together with him, so you choose to walk forward hand in hand. However, reality is always more complicated than ideals. As my age increases day by day, more and more people around me have started talking about me. Some comments are said to my face, while others are whispered behind my back. Some people advise me, don't be so picky anymore, just settle for someone who's good enough. At your age, what else can you afford to be choosy about? If you don't get married and have children, what will you do when you're old? No matter how hard you work to earn money, you'll still be bullied in a nursing home because you don't have any children. Others talk behind my back, saying, you're too selfish, only thinking about yourself, never considering others, and not being considerate of your parents' feelings. Sometimes I can even sense, from the way others look at me, a certain strange gaze, full of judgment and doubt, as if I've become some kind of odd species, someone they talk about casually over tea and meals. These voices, this pressure, have gradually started to affect me too. They've made me begin to waver, begin to hesitate. Should I still stick to my original belief of being true to myself? Or should I, in the end, just bow my head and compromise with reality and social norms?
You serious?
Should I just marry some random ordinary man?
That shouldn't even be the question to ask. The real question should be, do I even deserve a man? After observing everything she said and absorbing all of the things that she says and digesting it, you know it's like, dude, if you're not even willing to compromise, knowing that you don't have the same bargaining chips, that's where the delusion comes in. And that's probably because some dude is still playing with her box or up and in her box. So she still believes that she can get dudes to sleep with her and still get attraction from dudes. But none of these guys are going to marry her. So she still feels some way of having a little bit of delusion in her mind, thinking that she still has the option to get in a relationship. That's why she said at the end there, should I just marry some regular guy? As if she has a choice, as if she has options. Clearly, somebody's playing with that old up wrinkled box. And, you know, at this point, that's probably all she's going to be used for. Recreational use only. And if that doesn't work out for you, you can always just
buy a dog and die alone.
As a seasoned older single woman, I truly want to say a few heartfelt words to those sisters who are around my age and still haven't entered into marriage. Please do not feel anxious just because of your age, and even more so, do not fall into self-doubt or low self-esteem because of it. Don't let yourself get swayed by all kinds of comments on the internet. Some people love to jump to conclusions, saying that the biggest problem with older women is being too old, as if once a woman is over 30 and still unmarried, she automatically becomes a problematic person.
He ain't lying.
What a narrow-minded and deeply prejudiced viewpoint this is. Take me for example, I'm already 35 years old, still single and unmarried.
You're a woman over 30, it's time to put some, it's time to mark this shit on 50% off. If you're over 35, it's time to put that shit on clearance. Oh!
But I've never seen this as a mistake or a failure. You have to understand, there are also plenty of men who are the same age as me and still unmarried.
I just said this because men and women are not the same, and you need to fulfill a biological clock or you're cooked. Your lineage is done. Finito. Dumplings. Fried rice. Orange chicken.
Those 35-year-old single men are also out there in the vast sea of people, still searching for a suitable partner. It's just that the person they're looking for might not be you, or me, but another older woman of the same age.
Man, hell no!
Well, if that was the case, then it wouldn't be a bunch of you Xing new leftover women all over China. The problem is the reason why those 30-year-olds aren't rushing and how come they are not with a partner like you is because they're not picking y'all, because it's a bunch of y'all all over the place. All the Xing news are in the dating market. And if they go on their local app or whatever they have in China, whether it be, I don't know if they have Tinder or whatever over there, they're going to see a bunch of women that are just left over. 31, 32, 33. You know the stigma. It's bad. So either way it goes, this is just cope. And women have to do this to just put themselves to sleep, guys. They cannot rest until they cope out for at least a day or so.
Many sisters may mistakenly think, these men mock us for being too old, but then go off to date 25 or 28-year-old girls. But actually, that's not always the case. Reality is far more complicated than this kind of imagination. Sure, they may want to find someone younger, but whether they can actually get one, that's another story. Yes, those men do want to find younger women, but let's be real, everyone is just an ordinary person. Just because you want something, doesn't mean you'll get it. And besides, those men who constantly mock us for being old or no longer young, aren't saying these things because we're actually old. The truth is, they themselves aren't young anymore either.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
They just want to use this kind of talk to put psychological pressure on us, so we'll lower our standards when choosing a partner, so they can get a cheaper relationship, or easily marry a wife. At the core, this is more like an emotional bargaining tactic, rather than them truly believing that we are worthless.
Ma'am, I'm sorry to say this, but according to them and how they view the market, because men are the ones who pick who gets in relationships and who stays on the dating market, to them, you are just that. You are worthless. I'm sorry, that's just how they feel. And the dating market projects it.
Sometimes, the reason why they say such hurtful things isn't necessarily out of malice, but rather because they lack a more intelligent way to communicate with us.
Y'all smoking crack! Something is wrong with you people!
No, it's because they don't want to communicate with you, and they're laughing at you because you are the laughing stock. You can't just erase it and just come up with some new way of saying, well, I'm excluded from societal normals, or I'm excluded from society in general. No. If they perceive you as worthless and they don't want to communicate with you, you're getting roasted. A bum on the street who made himself a bum on the street, nobody's saying, hey, what about, us? Or do we not know how to communicate with the bum? No, the nigga's just a bum and nobody respects him. The same thing applies to Shing News and leftovers.
Maybe, in their minds, they think they are waking up the women who they believe have been drinking too much inspirational chicken soup. But the problem is, their way of expressing this is too crude, their words too harsh, and it only makes us dislike them even more. And if you think about it carefully, those men who spend their time online cursing older leftover women, are they really just ordinary people? I don't think so. Their statements are extremely radical and offensive, sometimes even filled with serious gender discrimination. They're not just ordinary people. They're simply projecting their own frustration and anger onto us older single women.
No, they're cooking your ass because you could have been with somebody or you could have gotten to an arranged marriage. It's not traditionally Chinese to be a leftover woman. That's why they're cook. It's just what it is. Why does she want to live outside of the umbrella of the societal norm in Asia? Like, it doesn't make any sense. These women just want to make excuses and cope. It's crazy to me.
Lastly, I still want to say this. Women like us who are considered older are often just more selective and have higher standards. If we weren't picky, we would have already gotten married casually and wouldn't have waited until now. So please, stop saying things like you older single women just want to marry a tall, rich, and handsome guy. We've never had unrealistic fantasies about life. We just hope to meet someone who can understand us and grow with us. That's not a fantasy. That's the most basic emotional desire of any ordinary person.
Again, the accountability, ma'am, is on you. The thing is, you got to understand what men want, not what you want. And that's the problem. And that's the mindset and the issue. And those guys are just cooking you because you literally think that you still have some leeway. And that is the delusion that a lot of these women talk about and talk like, and they just get mad because people are actually pressing them. They talk like this because people out there actually will shame you. And shame should be brought back. Shame is a good thing. Shame keeps things in order. And that is what we missed here in the West. And now this is happening with a section of China. I don't even know if it's a subsection. I haven't looked at the numbers whatsoever. I've seen a lot of reports on it. These videos have come up on my desk. But if it's a high number, bro, these Shing News, bro, then they got trouble coming. Just like out here. And with the tariffs and with what's going on with China. So, yeah, man, it's going to be rampant. And I bet you this woman right here is crying. She's probably crying right now. So for all the cope that she did during this situation, I wish her all the best. No harm to her. But literally, this song is dedicated to you because this cope from the Far East, it wasn't a Far East movement, but this was definitely something I wasn't prepared for. For this type of cope, you deserve it. So this song is for you.
You are coping and seething. You just can't accept what you're seeing. Yes, you're coping and seething. The truth is scalding, and now you are molding and coping so hard. Coping and seething.
If one of us eat, then we all ball. Sip coladas out in Cancun. Please stop praying for my downfall. It ain't coming no time soon. From the concrete, a little bitty rose grew. Any